Hey motorized bike community, Tony here. Today is a good day to put an engine on the Stinger. Let's roll.
The best place to start is with your standard two-stroke engine. So we're gonna just stick to the basic head and engine configuration just so that you could see what it is to put a standard two-stroke on the Stinger. Since the Stinger has disc brakes, front and rear, you can see we have two levers, front and rear. When you order your own two-stroke standard engine kit, I would definitely get a dual pull lever to replace your brake levers. As you can see, the engine comes unassembled. That way you can inspect everything, clean it out if you need, double check tightness of everything. So it's better to have an engine that's not assembled than to have one that's fully assembled and you just trusting that they put it together and it's gonna work properly. All right, so now you can see that I've taken off all the nuts and washers. Everything's ready. We're gonna take out this wrist pin. We're gonna leave the bearings in there. All right. Now you're gonna inspect this whole piston cylinder body thing. We're going to, okay, you can see those bumps down in there. Those should always go towards the intake side. Yes, it has an arrow stamped on top pointing towards the exhaust side, which is the correct way. But there are times where that arrow is stamped on the wrong side. I haven't found it too often, but often enough, okay? So you always want to look for, again, intake side. You always want to look for those locating pins for your rings. So this one's correct. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this on in the correct orientation. Final thing to check is to make sure that clip is in one side. So this is your intake side. Place it right on top. Because the clip right in here, so on this side we're going to rotate the engine just like that. And we're going to insert the wrist pin, pull down the piston a little bit. We don't want the rings to pop out, just like that. Give it a little love tap. Perfect. And your clips for the other side are 99% of the time stuck right inside this head. Looks like we got two of them here with more than one clip in each package. That's nice. So open it up, take one out, the needle nose pliers, and grab it just like this. Give it a good visual to make sure that it's all the way seated in there both sides, and you should be good to go. Next, you want to just push down all the way. Slip on your copper gasket. I love these so much better than I do the aluminum ones. Aluminum ones are okay, but the copper ones seal a lot better. These come standard with the two-stroke kits. Put your spark plug out of the head with your exhaust. So intake side, exhaust side, spark plug. We're gonna put washers, and then decorative acorn nuts. All right, next step is to use your torque wrench. I just have this one. It's a pretty inexpensive one, but works really accurately so that you can torque the head down properly. Before doing that though, I'll use the regular ratchet and we'll just get everything snug. I don't go crazy. I just kind of bounce around, crisscross pattern, just like that.
Started the first one, so it's tight. Perfect. I'll put our socket on here till it hits that 10. Nice, so those are now all torqued down to 10 pounds each. Now that we got the head tightened, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and check out all of the other bolts on here. See how it's got all these Allen bolts, and we're gonna make sure things are tight and good before we put it on the bike. Let's check the engine's fit on the frame. And then you'll have to hold that on there because it's going to want to fall off. You got to see the positioning. On the front mount, they put all the lock washers on there. So make sure you grab those to put on the back. All right, since it's got such a beautiful fit, what we're going to do is mount it right to the frame. Sure. Nuts. All right, there's a lot of good space in there for that engine. I know the original OCC chopper frames, the frame comes real low here. So you could tell that they've given plenty of room for performance upgrades and everything. Just to have some room to work, I'm gonna remove the seat. Let's go ahead and tighten the rear one first. Just snug, you don't have to go crazy on it. Now same with the front. I'm just gonna go snug, I'm not gonna crank it crazy yet. All right, let's inspect our work. You can see that this bracket is the same size as this tube, and so I would leave a little bit of space here. It's definitely tight enough, not going to move anywhere. We can always come back later and tighten it, but I feel like it's good to go. And then on this side, because it's meant for a bigger tubing, I went flat all the way against the engine with this mounting strap. So I feel really confident about it. Next up, let's see how our exhaust fits. Going to do the standard one right now, the one that came with the kit. It's a good place to start. Place the gasket just like that. For this other bolt, you're going to need the short extension. You just want to be careful here and go just snug. Don't wrench on it really, aggressively. No aggressive wrenching. All right, let's inspect our work here. Look at that. Pedal clearance. They really thought this thing through. Let's mount up our trusty old NT carb. Since there's plenty of space to work on everything in here, I'm just gonna tighten it up to the intake. Another thing I'm gonna do is take the idle adjustment screw all the way out. Okay, then we're gonna place it in. We're going to turn the screwdriver 11 times. So like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's a good idle starting point. The beauty about this bike is we don't have to worry how the rear sprocket is attached because it's all a part of the bicycle. Isn't that beautiful? So let's remove the cover. Well, it's starting to rain outside, so we got to take this project in the shop. Follow me. Looks like we need to get the chain on next. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out the length that we need from the tire to the engine. We're going to have to probably cut the chain shorter, collect the whole thing, kind of like wrangling a snake. There we go. Get the master link out of there. Boom. It's a good time to open up the package with your spark plug tool, your clutch puller tool, all that stuff. You're gonna need a spark plug wrench. Oh, that dude's tight. Ugh, I got it. To work your chain on here, I tend to use a little stubby screwdriver to work this on there. You can see back in there, picking up with the flat blade screwdriver because it tend to get stuck. Go to about the length of the tire. That'll give you enough working room to make the chain the correct length. But take the chain and place it on top of the sprocket of the rear wheel on this side of the brake caliper. You have to do it this way because the brake caliper is very close to the sprocket. And then spin your wheel backwards. See how it's going right underneath there? That's what you want. Do that until it's tight. Come around here and we'll see how much excess we have. Wow, nice. It's pretty good. I thought being a chopper frame, I was concerned the chain was going to be too short. So it looks like we got our compromise on our chain length, meaning you got to have it a little slack so you can put your chain tensioner in there and keep the tension on your pedal side. And take your trusty chain tool, push that pin out. All right, so let's put our master link back in, like that one. And it's very important that you put this, goes in the direction that the chain is moving, okay? That way it doesn't get knocked off if it hits something. That's the way you want it. Okay, so we have our chain tensioner and our straps. There's two of these independently. They grip it a lot better than one solid one. This is the better design. Okay, overall, to keep a really nice tension on this, we're going to push this all the way back that way. Really the frame starts to change right here, so we're kind of at the edge of our limit. And also, if you notice, pedal chain could use a little tightening. So what I'm going to do is keep this loose, but I'm going to clamp this in line right here. Use a little crescent wrench to grab the back and a socket about there. We'll probably start by getting them all flush. As far as alignment goes, you want to make sure that the tensioner is straight up and down. The bottom chain then is in line with the top chain. So you're probably going to push it just a little bit until the two are really lined up. That looks good. All right, we're in line. We're tight down here. Final one is to push the wheel up. See the tension here? And tighten it down. Perfect. All right, looking good. We got clearance for our chain all the way through. Let's get our cover on our engine. I want to make sure that the bucking bar is in here and that the ball bearing is behind it. Always double check that. There's plenty of grease on there. If there wasn't, you'd have to grease it, but we're good to go. They did a good job assembling this. Don't forget the little nut back there. Next up, let's mount the gas tank. One of the weak spots in a gas tank is where these studs are welded to the tank. They can end up pulling out. So what we've done is got some extra nuts here. So these are the ones in the package from the kit.
These are some extra ones that I had in my extra box here. And I also got some extra washers. Let's walk through how to make sure that this is secure. First things first, get rid of all these paint protection tubes. Let's start by putting a nut on each stud. What happens is, by putting the nut all the way towards the tank, all of the mounting pressure is just on the studs, not on the tank itself. It's a really good system.
Washer, lock washer, nut. Okay, so you can see that we have a nut on top and the bottom, so there's no pressure on the tank. Isn't that cool? Changing out this brake lever for the clutch lever, putting the new grips on. Calipers, let's just go ahead and loosen. Basically, you just feed that into there. Alright, so the most important part here is to make sure that these are pushed in all the way, and then go and tighten your brakes up. There we go. Perfect. All right, let's do the petcock, the gas valve. What I do is get rid of this screen. You don't really need it. It's kind of gets clogged easy, so just chuck it. We do want to do some Teflon tape on the threads though, along with the rubber gasket there. Weight on the rubber gasket. Put that right there for a second. Set of threads, but let's work it around a couple times, tear it off, just like that. Then kind of use your fingers, smooth it on, break open the opening. Your nail or small knife or something like that, just to kind of cut the chunk of it off there, because you don't want it going down in there and clogging up anything. Get all the pieces away. Look like that. Then we can press. All right, so let's screw this guy on right here. Make sure not to cross thread it. You'll feel it when it goes in there the right way. Nice and tight. That's snug. Our fuel line needs to go from here down to here with a filter in between. Now the right way the filter goes in is the clear part on top, okay? There's usually an arrow on the side of these. Yep, right there. So when thinking about cutting your tubing and placing your filter, especially on this frame, this chopper frame, probably gonna do like an 1.5 inch piece of tubing here and a longer one here. That way the filter is tucked inside the frame. If it was out here, your leg might hit it and knock it off. So you can use anything to cut this pretty much. So about an 1.5 inch or 2 chunk like that. Put it on the outside, meaning the flow. You got an in and an out, right? And there's like a barb on there. Push it all the way up as far as you can. Okay, that way you know it's pretty secure. Okay, we're gonna put this on here, push it all the way. You want a good amount over the barb, okay? Let's connect the two. So I'm gonna go all the way on there, down right here. About that long. If there's a natural curve to it, rotate it around so it kind of works in your favor. Then it'll hold stuff out of the way for you. See a way to get gas into an engine more directly than that. Nice, huh? Next up is the CDI. Forget all that. So we'll get the spark plug in. You make sure it has that crush ring on there, which they don't come off. They're pressed on there. Let's get that on there. Use your spark plug tool. So it's tight. This is just a press fit for the spark plug. So a wonderful thing about these engine mounting posts is this gives you plenty of room to mount your CDI on here, and it's really blended in. So we use the strap that came with it. You can use zip ties also, but I'm trying really hard to just use all the parts that came with the engine kit. And push it in position. Perfect. Red on red. Black on black. We'll just leave it out here for a minute because we have to put the throttle on next, and it has the kill switch integrated with it. All right, let's get this clutch lever on. And grip. Whoa, these are tight. Good old rubber mallet will treat you right. Perfect. Do the throttle housing here, 2 Phillips screws, your grip, throttle cable. So let's get the throttle cable mounted inside carburetor. All right, feed that through there. We have our spring, and you can push this on there to keep it connected. So if you look at where this clip is, there's 1, 2 spots that you can move it down to. Let's move it down 1. So you take a pair of pliers, you work it out, and then you go 1, second one up. Like that. Then you look at this barrel inside the carburetor. This is where the cable goes into. That's up. So let's put the C-clip on top. Then we can place it inside of here with the flat side against the opening so the cable can go in there. Like that. That's what it's supposed to look like. So I take one end of the cable and hold it like that. That way the other end looks like that. And there's a pin on the side. Okay, when it goes all the way down in, then you know you have it right. And just be careful on how you thread this on, because it's cast. You feel it, like it was pretty solid feeling right there. All right, push that there. All right, let's get this apart. Okay, you can see that the handle here has a slot. Push that in it, roll like that. All right, let's get this whole assembly on the handlebars. I'm gonna go between these cables because I have the dual brake lever over here. Is the cable for the throttle needs to be on the bottom because that's where the kill switch is. So you want your kill switch to be positioned properly so you can use it. Just make sure the angle's good. You'll be fine. Just so you know, I pull that pin, I wrap it with tape, and that way I keep this from moving instead of having that pin and drilling the hole. I don't really mess with that. All right, let's bring you back. So we'll feed this wire through here. It pretty much has to go straight down to the engine. Our goal is to get down to this guy. Perfect. Now we'll get the blue and the red together. Because essentially a kill switch is just touching two wires together. That's all it is. Which makes the spark plug stop sparking. Alright. Alright, clutch cable. Let's unwind this fella and get it into service. Okay, see this part here? We should pull that out because it doesn't want to sit in there. They just put it on there so that you can use it on the other end if you cut the cable short. We're going to pull cable out. Going to between here and the frame. All right, so what we're going to do is put the heat protector springs on. These keep the cable jacket away from the engine so it doesn't melt. So you want to make sure that that sits right beside there. And when you go inside this little guide here, pull through. Perfect. The angle just right. Perfect. Yep, that's exactly how we want it. There is a spring that you can put on here. You can cut it short. A lot of times I see that it basically is too long and it restricts how well the clutch arm works because it's just too long. And when you compress, it smashes it and puts a lot of stress on it. So you don't have to put it on there. I'm not going to on this one because I feel like it's just too tight. So back the screw out of the way, almost all the way out. And then it's kind of one of those deals where you roll it like that. So everything's tight, just start there. You can adjust it once we get everything, the engine running. Okay. That actually feels perfect. Nice. All right, look at that. We got our whole engine on there, front to back, back to front. Let's take it outside and see what it looks like. Sounds like the rain stopped out there. Let's check it out. Look at that. The sun is shining. All right, there we are. We got it all put together. It is complete. We got a nice two-stroke 80cc engine on there. Woo-wee! Dual brake lever, clutch lever, gas tank. Hey, thanks for joining me on the Stinger build today. We got an engine on it. The next video that you'll see, we'll be cruising down the road. Let me hear all about your Stinger build below in the comments. I'm excited. Let's roll.